Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here with another Pokemon Sword and Shield moveset video guide on how to use Pincurchin. I'm actually a big fan of this Pokemon, specifically because of its hidden ability, Electric Surge, which summons electric terrain, which makes it that you actually can't put Pokemon to sleep that are affected by electric terrain, as well as 1.3 times boost on electric type attacks. So, it's pretty cool considering it is a pure electric type and has an actual amazing move pool, like both on support and offensive. So Pincurchin's kind of like a surprise, man. When I first saw it, I thought it'd be like a spiking variant of Pyukumuku, and I wasn't far off, but there's definitely more to this Pokemon than just, oh, I can spike and go from there. Even though the majority of sets we'll see will be including spike on it because it's really good at doing that, and spikes are very good, hazards are incredible. But the first set we have, and I think the biggest thing about Pincurchin is it's a great support Pokemon, right? When you think of electric terrain, you think of Pokemon with Unburden that use the Electric Seed. If you're looking at OU, you have Hawlucha. If you're looking at lower tiers, you have Hitmonlee, Drifblim, Thievul, all as options that appreciate electric terrain being up, because if they're wearing the Electric Seed or using the Electric Seed, they get double the speed because their Unburden will activate. So that's a really cool thing. And when you use Pincurchin, you probably want to pair it with one of those. Definitely, if you're using an OU, Hawlucha is going to be the go-to. But the first set we have is definitely a more OU-based set. And the item you're going to be running is either Terrain Extender to have as many turns of electric terrain as possible. Obviously, electric types that are touching the ground really do appreciate this, as well as Hawlucha in general getting its Electric Seed boost. Or using Focus Sash as well. And Focus Sash actually lets you survive an Earthquake from Excadrill and threaten it back with a Scald. When you're using Pincurchin, unless you're running Speed EVs, there's basically no reason to not use a minus speed nature 0 speed. It gives you a better matchup versus Trick Room, because Pincurchin only has 15 base speed, so you're slower than Pokemon like Hatterene and basically everything for the most part under Trick Room. And it doesn't really affect Pincurchin in the slightest outside of that, right? So the first set we have is Spiker, Offensive Spiker, with Spike, Scald, Discharge, and Memento. So the idea behind this is you get up a Spike and then you Memento into one of your Unburdened Pokemon, hopefully giving them an option of sweeping. Discharge is boosted by the electric terrain, and Scald gives you an option versus ground types, which would otherwise wall Pincurchin. Of course, in terms of checks and counters, Seismitoad doesn't care about any of its attacks, and same thing with Gastrodon. However, Memento is really good too, because if you go for Memento, you can actually safely get in a teammate. And this teammate can basically come in as Memento, as the Pokemon has been Memento. If you guys didn't know what Memento does, basically Pincurchin dies, sacrifices itself, and it lowers the attack and special attack of whatever got hit with Memento by two stages. So this is really nice for being able to get into something like a bulk up Hitmonlee or a Nasty Plot Thievul or a Swords Dance Hawlucha, giving them an easier time at setting up, on top of the fact that they're already getting a boost in defense from the Electric Seed. The second set we have right here is a more offensively oriented Pincurchin. So, and by I mean offensively, I meant physically offensive Pincurchin, because the last one was offensive as well. But this is physically offensive because it does have a great physical move pool. Zing Zap, Liquidation, Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is great for priority. And Liquidation is cool because this one is more tailored to, okay, you have Elite Excadrill, well, I'm going to beat you 1v1. You can spike while Excadrill comes in. You can go for Liquidation, surviving a hit because of your Focus Sash. And Liquidation puts them in range of Sucker Punch, and you can knock them out after with Sucker Punch. Zing Zap obviously is your stab to threaten water types, and again, a Brave Nature, max HP, max attack, min speed as possible, because again, it does give you that great Trick Room matchup. And this Pokemon, in front of like Hatterene, which would obviously come in with Magic Bounce, Zing Zap does a lot of damage, and if it tries to set up a Trick Room, you'll be faster than it under Trick Room. But in terms of checks and counters, this Pokemon, Excadrill is a pretty solid one. If Pincurchin is not at full HP running a Focus Sash, Drill can just come in and click Earthquake, mainly ground types, again, as mentioned before. And it's not frail, right? Like, it has base 95 defense and base 85 special defense, but unfortunately it has base 48 speed, so it does not take hits as well as its its cousin Pyukumuku. But the next set we have is a Trick Room abusing set. And I've already talked about Trick Room a lot, talking about using Brave and Quiet Nature, but this is a Cursed Pyukumuku. And Cursed Pyukumuku allows you to still lower your speed, but also boosting your attack and your defense in one move. So we're going to be using a Cursed Pyukumuku Did I just call it Pikamuku twice? 3 times maybe? I meant Pincurchin. But Curse Pincurchin with Zing Zap and Sucker Punch. Again, Sucker Punch will help you with those faster Pokemon trying to revenge kill you. Maybe like Gengar or a Chandelure or anything that's super effective against. Hell, even Dragapult, man, if you're crazy and using Curse Pincurchin in OU tier, can help you knock that thing out. Leftovers for longevity, but again, I think that can be replaced with Life Orb. But I do like Leftovers considering Curse does boost your defense, so you can take physical attacks better. Zing Zap, Curse, and Sucker Punch are a given. Your last move can either be Liquidation to obviously give you a way of hitting ground types, Excadrill, the big one that comes to mind, or you can run Recover and obviously have that longevity from there. Now that's not necessarily the best, but it is an option. I do think Liquidation is a lot better on a more offensive Curse set for Trick Room. Of course, with this set, in terms of teammates, you want Trick Room setters. Runerigus is a really good one. Hatterene is a great one. Bronzong as well. In terms of offensive Pokemon that also threaten ground types, maybe like Seismitoad and Gastrodon, Caporaja can go for Power Whip versus those Pokemon and deal with it. So great Trick Room users to use with this Pokemon. Next that we have is a Toxic Spike variant that I think is a little bit better in the well, I mean, I think Toxic Spike is better in UU specifically because this set allows Pincurchin to set up Toxic Spikes but also have longevity. So we'll be running physically defensive Pincurchin, relaxed nature. Again, always running, for the most part, a minus speed nature just to have that Trick Room matchup a little bit better. And this thing can eat a hit from potentially defensive Arcanine. The physical defense allows it to take hits from Avalugg, which is a UU spinner. Some bulky waters as well in the tier, while still using your natural ability to check Pokemon like even Butterfree, or like, even though Gmax Butterfree doesn't really exist, that's not really a good mon. It's like, oh man, he said Butterfree, oh that's cool. But yeah, a physically defensive spiker. Discharge is there because Discharge obviously allows you to potentially paralyze your opponent, also still being boosted by Electric Surge. Toxic Spike, it's a pretty solid Toxic Spiker considering it beats a lot of the poison types. Like, it does a ton of damage to Weezing with Electric Terrain boosted Discharge. It has reliable recovery in that recover, and Skull just allows you to hit those ground types like Rhyperior down there as well. But just physically defensive, I think you can adjust it to what you basically need. But physically defensive also lets it check Braviary. It goes for Brave Bird and whatnot, so it can help it check that on the physical side. Going back a little bit up to the OU tier, you can even use potentially, if you didn't want to use maybe straight up Memento with it, though Memento is obviously an option on the set, and it's slashed over Toxic Spikes, but you can use it as a spiker in the OU tier that actually beats the Defoggers, right? It beats Mandibuzz is the big one that comes to mind, right? And it's a spiker that can spike on Rotom Wash without caring about being burnt. Obviously, Ferrothorn can spike on Rotom Wash, and for the most part doesn't care about being burnt because of Leech Seed recovery, but Power Whip being weakened is a no-no for Ferrothorn right there. But we have a special defensive Pincurchin with Leftovers for longevity, and the special defense allows us to take on Rotom Wash a little bit better, and potentially, spike up on that. So Discharge, always, I think, a great move on Pincurchin. You don't really need much other than Discharge for the most part. I guess there's some situations where maybe Thunderbolt could be better, but being able to paralyze and just being a better, not only are you already supporting your team, right, by getting up spikes and hazards, but Discharge lets you para as well. Spikes and recover are a given. Your last move can either be Memento if you want to still help out Pokemon like Hawlucha or on Burden Mons in general, or anything that's running, an Electric Seed. Or you can run Toxic Spike as well and just run dual hazards. Like I said, this is a hazard setter that actually beats Mandibuzz. So that's the big thing that happens with Pincurchin. And still Sassy Nature, Max Special Defense. Now we're actually running a little bit of speed on this next Pincurchin set. So that's a lot of fun. We're running Adamant, Max Attack, Max Speed, Choice Band Pincurchin. And there's a reason for this, right? You might think, what the hell is wrong with you? This thing has base 15 speed. You're right, and something might actually be wrong with me. However, it hits just enough speed to outspeed a 0-speed Rhyperior, and therefore, you can threaten that thing with an easy liquidation right there. You also outspeed min-speed Hippowdon as well, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Hippowdon is at 126. I don't know why I'm blanking on Hippowdon real quick. Let me just make sure. 130. No! Bro, did you get faster? Oh, that's so ignore Hippowdon. But being faster than Rhyperior is pretty cool. And obviously Choice Band, you have that Zing Zap, which is already a great move in general. It can flinch your opponent. You're not going to flinch anything. You got to be faster than most things to flinch them. But Choice Band being boosted, boosting the Zing Zap, boosting your physical attacks, as well as Electric Terrain in your favor there. But Liquidation is there to help you deal with the ground types. Sucker Punch can still help you knock out a Gengar trying to come at you, or a Spec Chandler or anything like that. And then Self-Destruct is your last move. I just think going out with a Boom can work with Pincurchin. I suppose a Spike could work here too if you wanted to, because for the most part, I mean, this is Pincurchin trying to do stuff on its own, right? It's just trying to fight. It's tired of supporting other teammates, so it wants to do its own thing. So if you're wild and want to use a Choice Band Pincurchin, this might work. Especially with RU dropping on January 1st, this is something down there that can definitely work too. And the last set we have today is a lower tier offensive spiker, and it's actually a modest Pincurchin as well, running max speed, max special attack. And again, the reasoning for that is that we're faster than Rhyperior. So we have Discharge, Surf, Recover, and Spikes with a Life Orb. So Surf with a Life Orb knocks out max HP Rhyperior easily. And Discharge obviously can threaten Pokemon like Jellicent. And with a Life... Oh, man, you're hitting that thing so hard with a Life Orb, man. Hippowdon has to think twice about coming in on you as well. And once again, it is a spiker that can deal with a lot of the hazard control, right? So a lot of flying types in the tier want to go for maybe Defog or whatnot. Even if you're going even lower in tiers, when Cramorant eventually lands up there, it's a spiker that threatens a whole lot of Pokemon with Discharge. Discharge can be Scald if you want to, but I like the idea of knocking out Rhyperior, right? That's a big thing. And again, that speed is just for that. We're still faster than Pokemon like Doublade as well, and we threaten them with the electric terrain boosted attacks. But it's just an offensive spiker for the lower tiers. But yeah, Pincurchin, I'm excited to use it later today. I'm not sure if I'm using an OU or UU or maybe even both. But of course, if you did enjoy it, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. You guys can check out the Showdown Live up later today, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.